Hello guys, welcome to my channel Everyday with Esther. In this video I'll be showing you how to make a beautiful A-line gown with a fabric that has border hem. So when you are using a fabric like this that has design on the both hemline, it means you have to take your accurate measurements. You don't have to add allowance at the down parts of the fabric because you will not be able to trim or reduce the length after, and you are not going to fold either. So you have to take your accurate measurement. That's one principle of using a stylish fabric. Another principle that you have to take into consideration is that this type of fabrics does not require longer lengths. Okay, for the style to be beautiful, that is for the style to come out, it doesn't require longer lengths. So let's get straight into the making of the gown. First of all, I took my shoulder measurement. Firstly, I took the length of the gown. My own length is 38 because I don't want it too long or too short. Then after that, I took my shoulder measurement. Okay, my shoulder measurement is 17. I divided by 2 and I got 8.5. On that note, I came down by 1 inch and I took my armhole measurement, which is 8.5. Yours can be 8 or 9 depending on the measurement of your armhole. All right. So at that point where I took my armhole measurement, I came down and I measured. I ruled it out. I ruled it out for me to be able to measure my bust measurements. Then my bust measurement is 42. I divided by 4. Mind you, I folded my fabric into a rectangular shape because my fabric is not that much for me and I don't want a bogus A-line gown. That is why I folded this way. If you want a bogus A-line or you want to turn it into flare, you have to fold into triangular shape. But in this case, I don't want a bogus A-line gown. So that is why I folded like this. So I took my bust measurements and because I don't want a bogus A-line gown, I only added 1 inch as my ease allowance after taking my bust measurement 42 divided by 4. Then I added additional 1 inch again for the sewing allowance. Then I ruled it out. All right. And I made the necessary connections. I connected my bust to my shoulder measurement to get my armhole. Then the next thing is for me to take the neckline. This fabric is a bit stretchy and I don't want a wide neckline, so I used 3 inches for my neckline, 3 inches width and 3 inches depth for the front neckline, and I connected. Then from my neckline, I connected it to that 1 inch that I initially measured for the shoulder slope. Now I'm done with the upper part of the gown. So the next thing is to measure my half length. To some people, depending on how you want your gown to be, how free you want it to be, you can connect from the armhole down to the hemline. But for the sake of this class, I am using the normal pattern, which is measuring out my half length in order to get my waist measurement. So my half length is 17. To you it can be 18, it can be 16. It depends on your body measurement. So I measured out my half length, which is 17. And on that note, I'm going to measure my waist. I'm going to take my waist measurement, sorry. So on my half length, I took my waist measurement, divided by 4, and I added 1 inch for ease allowance, 1 inch for sewing allowance. Then the next thing is for me to connect my armhole to my waist measurement and to the hemline. All right. The another pattern you can use to do this is just to connect from your, that's if you're making a maternity gown, it's just for you to connect from your hemline to the armhole. Okay, so it all depends on how you want it to be. It all depends on how fitted, the fitting you want to give your gown. But this is it. Okay, to some people you can equally measure out the hip measurement, and it all depends. It all depends, and do the connection. It all depends on what you want. So as it is now, the front part of the gown is ready. So the next thing is to use the front part to cut out the back part. To use the front pattern to cut out the back pattern. And this gown is not going to have any zip allowance. It's not going to have any zip. So I placed the front pattern after I folded the remaining fabric by 2. I placed the front pattern on the fabric, and I added 1 inch for my shoulder, on the shoulder part. Okay, that's gonna be my shoulder slope. Then I maintained the same 3 inches width for the neckline, and I used 2.5 inch depth for the back uh, neckline. Thus I used 3 inches for the width and 2.5 an inch for the depth. So that is that. The next thing is just to trim, to mark out with the, to mark out other parts of the gown, of the back pattern with the front pattern, and cut. So here I noticed that the A line is a bit wide, according to what I want. So I decided to trim it. Remember I said the width of the hemline is according to your preference. It depends on what you want. If you want it longer, if you want it wider, good. If you want it fitted a bit, good. So that is why I am trimming out this excess. At this point, our gown is 80% ready. Remember, so the next thing is for me to cut out the sleeve, join the two shoulders first of all, then join the sleeve and join the seam lines and trim the neckline, and the gown is ready. Watch out for part 2 of this video when the gown will be ready. Bye.